Up. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is like Groundhog Day. This is the third time you hear me. Welcome to the District 5 debate. District 5 is basically the Northwest Pasco, Hudson, including the Hudson area. And these debates are put on by the West Pasco Chamber of Commerce and the Public Policy Committee, which is led by Jeremy George. My name is Bruce Mills, and I'm a former chairman of the West Pasco Chamber. Back in the back, Liz Meisner is taking cards. If you have questions, there's 3x5 cards. You can fill those out, and they'll ask the questions either for this debate or for the final debate. We'd also like to thank PHSC for the beautiful facility and all they do for the community. Thank you, PHSC. Our moderators asking the questions this evening are C.T. Bowen with the Tampa Bay Times, and Tina Shelton, who is the chairman of the West Pasco Chamber of Commerce, and the reigning Queen Chasco. Our candidates for this evening are Commissioner Jack Mariano, and Chris Cooley. The format is they will give an opening statement of 3 minutes, and then we will alternate questions back and forth. The questions, they will have 2 minutes to answer. The opponent will have 1 minute to answer that same question, and then the original candidate will have 30 seconds to rebut that. So it's 2 minutes, 1 minute, and back to 30 seconds. At the end, they will each have 2 minutes for their closing statement. And they don't have to take the whole time to answer those if they don't want to. We flipped a coin earlier, and Mr. Cooley won, so he'll be the final speaker. Our timers are school board member Cynthia Armstrong and Nora George. And they have paddles, and they will hold up a paddle with 30 seconds left, and they'll hold up a different paddle for 15 seconds left. And they have one that says stop and a little bell that they will ding to let them know. And with that, if everybody could turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate, we'd appreciate it. And if you can hold the applause until the closing statements, we would appreciate it so we can get as many questions in as we can. And with that, we will start with the opening statement of Jack Mariano.
Thank you very much, West Pasco Chamber. It's great to be out here tonight. For the past 12 years, I've had the honor of serving Pasco County. I started to do it with a motive to promote economic development, constituent service every step of the way, serving the best way I could, understanding from District 5, but representing all of Pasco County, so every decision made was going to benefit all of the county. I've been very happily married to my wonderful wife, Michelle, for 24 years. We've raised 2 wonderful children, Amber and Lauren, and it's been a great life here in Pasco County. I have an economics degree, and I have a concentration in management finance, business and finance, which I think comes in very handy with the county commission. When I first ran in 2004, there was all sorts of storms, almost like we've just seen lately. And I made a very specific motion to try to serve the best I could, knowing we had issues that hadn't been addressed for many, many years, to try to make improvements every step of the way. I helped push forward the first stormwater utility ordinance. From that point, we made making grounds, doing surveys, trying to figure out what to go do next. And in the past few years, we've made some pretty good improvements. We still have a long way to go. I treasure that I can actually talk to people. People call me. They tell me about different things going on. Got a call late last night at 10 o'clock down at Moog Road when a pipe evidently had collapsed. What do you do to fix it? I listen to my constituents every step of the way, trying to find the best way to serve them and get solutions to the problems that are out there. For the past few years, we've been making a lot of progress, and granted, with the 2 storms we've seen back to back, we've still got a lot more issues. I focused on economic development. Economic development, all of a sudden, we have got a great opportunity to do some great things. When we had the first penny for Pasco, if you watched how we spent the money, we spent it very frugally. Ended up when the economy dropped, prices dropped, we stretched our money and got more projects done. The new penny for Pasco, when they came through, I wanted to make sure we put out there something for economic development. And now 20% of the money that gets paid for that penny is going for economic development. It's led to, I think, the greatest hire we've ever had in the county with our new economic development director, Bill Cronin. That director has come from Michigan, Atlanta, Charlotte. He's been all over the world. He's got all sorts of connections. One of the things I think that he liked about coming to Pasco County was the attitude that we're focused on economic development, and that we now have a source that's going to be able to attract businesses to come forward. Talking to people about site selectors, that's a very key point. We're working on things over in Zephyr Hills. For the first time, we're looking at bringing utility systems, which just was approved. Now we're going to go attach it to the rail with the airport that's there. We've got great potential coming up all the way through. So as much as I'm happy what we've accomplished, I'm very, very excited about the future and what's coming up for Pasco County.
Oh, just go. Okay. Good evening. I want to thank the West Pasco Chamber, PHSC, for having us here this evening. I'd also like to thank each and every one of you, friend or foe, because it's a great thing to have everybody come out and learn a lot about your opportunity to vote. I'd also like to thank C.T. Bowen, Tina Shelton, Cynthia Armstrong, and Nora George for coming out tonight. And I'm quite sure that all of you have families to attend to as well, so thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. My name is Chris Cooley. I am married to my wife Jennifer of 15 years. We have 5 children and 2 grandchildren. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school, served during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I'm also a small business owner. I started my career roughly 18 years ago working for the largest dental manufacturer in the world. It was an opportunity that had I not met my wife, I might not have gotten that opportunity. But I started out with the company, never having any experience in manufacturing sales before. And all I did was in the first 6 years, overdrive quota 6 years in a row, become regional manager, and drove that sales team to what they call the Region of the Year Award. I also won the Lion Award, which is the top salesperson in the entire country of 163 representatives. I was then courted and became the director of special markets for the 5th largest dental distribution company in the United States. And I was basically in charge of all of their special markets accounts, which is any account over $5 million in size. I grew that department 43%, 4 consecutive years in a row on average. And then the company decided to sell out to the largest distributor in the world. And I really, at that point in time, was looking to make a move. That was about 2005. And at the same time, July 5th of 2005, our world and lives changed forever. My brother was wounded in Iraq with an IED and a car bomb. Josh was a Pasco County deputy sniper on their SWAT team. And our family is such that you rally around the troops, so to speak. My older brother's a Marine, and so is my younger brother, so we all have the common creed of no one left behind and Semper Fidelis. So we packed up the family 10 years ago and moved down here to Florida. You know, some people get to choose where they want to live, and basically we feel as though the place that we wanted to live chose us, but we are proud to call Pasco our home. My wife also has a small business in Pasco County, so we are both small business owners. And I believe in serving your country, serving your community, and then going back to work. I'm getting the paddle, so I'm going to end it with that. And I am Chris Cooley, and I'm running for District 5 County Commissioner. Thank you.
Commissioner Mariano, first question. And I'm going to go back to the flooding issue. Last December, the commission majority balked at the idea of setting up municipal benefit units to help offset the costs of the drainage improvements. This year, they turned down the staff request to raise the assessment to $80. You yourself just voted against setting up a municipal taxing district for the Magnolia Valley drainage area. So I would ask you, how do you propose to finance drainage improvements, considering the price tag could be as high as $300 million?
Keep in mind, when you hear numbers from statistics, from stats, they may not be accurate. There may be better ways to do things. As far as Magnolia Valley goes specifically, what they were doing there was they were putting an MSBU around just Magnolia Valley. The plan was being rushed through. Unlike Timber Oaks. In Timber Oaks back in 2004, when that had flooded out, we made that a basin of special concern. We took our time going through, and as we went through an MSBU with those folks, we showed them what they were paying for the property, went through the whole process with them to show them very clearly what was going to happen before the bids were even going to be out as they came back in. We went through the process, explained it to them very clearly what was going to happen, and that they made the decision if they wanted to go forward. It was complete community support. The very last meeting after the board had passed it, I made the motion, we passed it with the one exception. If the people voted it down, I was going to bring it back to the board. We went to that Tim Brooks meeting. At that meeting, virtually every hand went up in full support. With Magnolia Valley, when you isolate that one area and you just have an incomplete plan going forward with the people, you're not going to make a good decision. And then trying to go back again and then go a broader swope all the way around that whole area wasn't fair to the people in the whole area or the people in Magnolia Valley. The reason I think it's better to do the MSTU, I mean, whether MSTU is bad, is because it's spreading out item to item to item. It's going to take longer to do it. It's going to be taking more bureaucracy to go do it. We're all in this together. We're one county together. Everybody's paid taxes up and down the coast for certain areas. When you set up the stormwater utility, you can go forward and fix your properties quicker and just put it in there. But I've suggested we put a plan together. Let's take all the projects together, put them in. Let's then go look at the numbers as we go in year to year. I think to wait 90 years to fix all these culverts is unacceptable. So it is going to take more. I continue to keep on pushing it forward. And maybe with the floods we're going to have for the past few days, maybe next year we get a better recourse for next year.
Thank you for your question. You know, this can's been kicked down the road for 20 years. For 20 years, there's been a flooding problem. It's not any any new revelation that we're a coastal community here. 20 years it's been kicked down the road. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the MSBU with Magnolia Valley, I would agree with my opponent that staff's figures must be inaccurate. Well, there's a problem if staff's figures are inaccurate because that's what they're paid to do, is give us some figures. So I would want to understand that. But at the end of the day, we need to work with creative ways of fixing the flooding problems, and I do have a plan for that, and I do have ideas for that, but I've just got the paddle, so I've got about 10 seconds left. It's a problem we can't ignore anymore. It's here, it's in our face. We need to do three things. We need to identify, solicit for solutions, and fix the problem.
As I said, after getting elected, the first thing we did was push the stormwater utility. Staff actually pushed back. They didn't want it introduced. I said, no, we need to address this issue. Let's bring this forward. They said, it's an election year coming up. I said, let's push this forward. It's the right thing to do. So despite that, I still pushed it through, got it through. I had gone through the stormwater certificate from DEP, where they have a stormwater inspector course, took the course, passed the course, to understand better what was going on. So there's still much more to be done, and I think I pushed the ball, get it started the right way.
Mr. Cooley, Pasco County citizens have already spent millions of dollars on SunWest Park. If elected, would you support spending more tax dollars on the park? And if so, how much more money is needed before Pasco starts seeing a return on their investment?
Thank you for the question, Tina. There's a lot of misconceptions that have been said out there about my views or my direction or whatnot. I'm going to tell you right straight to your face, and that's all you have to do is ask me the question. No, I would not spend any more money in SunWest Park. We spent $5 million there already. I believe that, you know, the initial impression was that it was going to be this cash cow that was going to pay for the rest of the parks and the community and whatnot. It's not going to pay for itself in the initial. You cannot acknowledge a profit until you've recouped your initial investment. That's going to take 97 years minimum to do that. And you can look at the video on my website, it's facts. On top of that, you cannot promote tourism until you fix the infrastructure of the county, fix our flooding issues, fix our Miller's Bayou area, the new Port Richey and Port Richey area. You've got to give people a place to stay, nice restaurants to eat in, and amenities such as restaurants and things of that nature, entertainment. We don't have that here. We can. Pasco is loaded with potential, but you can't just stick something here, dump millions and millions and millions of dollars in it, and ignore all the other problems that are going on. We've got flooding issues. We've got lack of economic development. We're going to get into that in a couple of minutes, but we're failing there as well. I am excited about the future too, because I believe that there is a plan for the future, that we will pay attention to all the needs of the community, not just one or two. I would not spend any more money. I would allow the private company that's running the business, running the park, to run the park. That's what they're there to do, and I wouldn't interfere in that. Thank you.
I would like to thank the person who asked that question, because my favorite one of the night, I guarantee you. All right, Pasco County doesn't have attractors. We need things to bring people to the county. The number one thing for the past 50 years, as said by Florida 10 magazine, The number one reason people come to Florida are the beaches. Pasco struggles for the beaches. This is an old lime rock mine that was permitted back in the 30s with the envisioning of actually making this a park later on. I think we're doing the right thing by investing into the park. Now, we spent $465,000 out of $12 million of capital in tourist development fees. There's still more that could be done out there. $3 million was by a developer agreement, settlement agreement, that had to be spent when he gave us 26 acres of land. $1 million came from West Zone Park impact fees. $118,000 came from tree mitigation fund. The in-kind developer that was out there gave us $4.4 million of in-kind. I had a gentleman so excited about the project, found out the struggles, because this shouldn't be a controversial project, found out the struggles we had. He donated $650 grand to a nonprofit to help the place grow.
Denver doesn't have beaches either. But what they do have are ski resorts. They've got natural resources that attract people there. Pasco does not have a sandy shoreline. It's got a rocky shoreline. How about let's embrace that shoreline, fix it up, and pull a John's Pass type of environment up here and start giving it back to the fishing community. We've got fantastic redfish and snook and things of that nature. We've got some of the best guides in the world right here in Pasco County. Let's start using what we already have instead of trying to create something more expensive that we don't have.
Commissioner Mariano, what do you see as the job creation, benefit to veterans, and enhanced community efforts of the consolidated VA facility?
Whatever we can do to help our veterans is a great thing. We've tried for years to actually bring one here. We tried to take the Newport Richie Hospital, try to bring one here to help. Whatever we can do to help the veterans, we need to try to do. I recently have just joined the NACO's Veterans Committee. It was formed 5 years ago when we weren't a member. I heard about the committee at the convention, and I says, I want to be on this committee. I think whatever we can do to try to help these folks, working with Brian Anderson at the Veterans Alternative, I think is a great thing. Helped him when he first wanted to get the stand down. He didn't know where to go. He said he was out of Sun West, matter of fact, in his fatigues, trying to promote what he was going to try to do with the stand down. That stand down was a great stepping stone to actually reach into more and more money coming forward. He's done a phenomenal job. I plan to work with him. He's got a great facility, a great staff, and a great team.
Could you repeat the question for me, please?
What do you see as the job creation, benefit to veterans, and enhanced community efforts of the consolidated VA facility?
Well, listen, again, and I'm going to hammer this home. I am a veteran, and I moved here to help another veteran, my younger brother. We have got to systematically understand what veterans truly need. We need training. We need rehabilitation. We need rehab. As far as not just, and everybody thinks right away we're talking about drugs. I'm not just talking about drugs. You're talking about the largest growing population of people suffering from PTSD. And I know what that's all about because I was raised by somebody with it. We've got to understand the needs of these people every day of the week, every day of the year, not just every 4 years. And that's one of my strong commitments, is to bring programs, work with county and state leaders to bring programs here to get our veterans, especially those veterans that are leaving service right now. You leave the service, it's 4 years. Hey, thanks for your time and see you later. Those people have skill sets that can be utilized in the civilian world. We just got to get them trained in that transition, and we can do that.
A few years ago, when the veterans team that we have that helps our veterans get benefits, the budget was going to be cut, I was very proud to serve and help and keep that funding in place. When we look at our veterans that are coming up, everything we do is critical every step of the way.
First off, let me say that I'm very disappointed I won't be asking Commissioner Mariano his most favorite question of the evening. Cooley, please give us your thoughts on the harbor's redevelopment plan and what components you would like to see accomplished in the next 4 years if you're elected to the commission.
I think there's a separation amongst government that needs to stop, and we need to realize that we are Americans and we have the power to change anything. It's not that's the way it is. We've got to get rid of that mentality. Men and women made law, men and women can change law, and when I'm elected, I will effectively work towards that. That district down there, you're specifically talking about the Newport Richie, Port Richie areas and whatnot. The issue is that it seems to me in watching the meeting the other night for the Millers Bayou district, that there's so much anger, there's so much dissension. There's a lot of great ideas, but they've got to be, there's got to be, I would almost want to say there should be a liaison, or if it were me in that position, I'd be glad to step up and do it. But there needs to be a communication between the county commission and the cities of the county as well. We're all trying to get to the same place. We're just throwing stuff up against the wall, insulting each other and everything else. There's a lot of potential down there, but I'm telling you, my feeling is that is our opportunity to bring people to this county. That area down there, that's our gateway to the Gulf. And right now, we've got no place to park boats and truck trailers, boat trailers and trucks. We've got, an argument between the citizens and the business owners down there about amplified music. The channels need to be dredged. It's a mess, and we have such an opportunity there. And all we got to do is stop fighting and put a plan. You plan the work, and then you work the plan. And we need to do that. I believe that is our greatest asset that is untapped, and that's what's going to start bringing tourism here once we get that fixed down there. Places for people to eat. We're losing restaurants left and right. We need more places like Dulcet. I mean, that is a fantastic restaurant. It's right in the middle of basically a void area down there. We need to embrace that. As far as economic development goes, we need to help those that already exist. We can fix that area, and that can be the jewel that brings people to this area. And then you can extrapolate that all out through the surrounding areas with hotels and restaurants.
The bayou is the greatest asset we've got to what we got, the great commercial development for everybody around to actually come and see. That should be a boardwalk going all the way around. Matter of fact, we're going to bring back, now that we got Mayor Masada attending our county commission MPO meetings, actually put that bridge sidewalk underneath to connect that whole area. Actually come up with an idea to actually put another boat ramp on the backside over by Crab Shack, where we could actually use the land out there more effectively. I was thrilled to bring the idea forward to actually get the Bayou Club, who was very animated with a lot of hostility, to actually bring everybody together. So I wanted to bring the Bayou, who is all the business owners that are down there, bring them together with the city officials, not only just Port Richey, but New Port Richey. And then I wanted the county to actually maybe run the meeting to do the presentation so when they come forward, they could bring everything together. I was delighted to see how the meeting went, the camaraderie that was there. At the end of the meeting, my take on it was completely different. I thought everybody was united. Let's go focus on the dredge. Let's bring everybody together. And by the way, for the first time, we got Restore Act money, which we've never had before, which can push this forward. So we got to use the government money somewhere.
I must have been in a different meeting then. Because I can tell you that the people that were sitting in the back of the room, the mumbling and things of that nature, the shouting out, continued through the end of the meeting. On top of that, I'm not going to sit in front of a certain group of people and say one thing, and then I'm in front of another group of people and say something else. There is Restore Act money. But what I want to understand is why everything gets funneled back towards SunWest when we could take more Restore Act money and dredge the entire channel, which is what the people were asking for, not just certain sections of the channel.
Let's think a little more globally now, beyond the bayou. Let's talk economic development. It's come up in every campaign. Every candidate has said something about it. But there's been a lack of specifics. What specifically would you like to accomplish over the next 4 years in terms of developing the Pasco County economy? Commissioner?
All right, and as we started with the Penny for Pasco money, we've already allocated $2.3 million to go help the Zephyr Hills run in sewer and water capability, which is critical if you're going to put a proper site selector together. Another feature that's coming up is along I-75. CT, I know you've heard me mention this many times at the board meeting. We got a spray field that sits there right along I-75, prime industrial space. We thought it was, we were first told it was 24 acres, turned it's 99 acres right along. Bill Fruth, who's presented many times before the Economic Development Council, the general meetings, he talks about how Alabama went up and down, had every county had industrial parks. That's a great opportunity to get started right from there. The other thing we've got to do is improve our demographics up and down, and that's part of what the dredging is, to go up and down the whole coast, not just at the bayou, but everywhere, so they can create the access. So those things are there, the tools are there, and again, I'm very excited with Bill Cronin in position to actually go and actually be able to reach out to businesses, and now he's got a carrot for them. He's got something to actually say, hey, if you come here, we can do this. I just talked with Dr. Blanco, who's been before the board many, many times. Just talked to him today. We're going to set up a meeting with him, some site selector people that he's got in place, and we're going to study the Texas model. Texas model, they spent, I think it was $500 million getting incentives to come in through the state. They've now got, I think it was 10 times that amount of money in investments come back in. That creates jobs, creates economic development. The key that we need to do is to try to get those better jobs here. The higher the wage jobs, the better the demographics go every step of the way, which spurs the economic development, and I think we've got a great path forward.
As far as economic development goes, there's a couple of different criteria that I think we're missing here. Number one, the Economic Development Council has two jobs: to promote businesses to come here and to take care of the businesses that are existing here. We have not done the latter. There are businesses closing left and right in Pasco County, and they close every day. And we've done nothing to reach out to them. Now, I agree that Bill Cronin is a fantastic recruitment, and I think he's got a great vision. I think he's got a great plan. However, you can't correct all of the wrongs of the past in 1 month. This is a dilemma that we're faced with. Our revenue stream is completely flawed. We don't want just high-end jobs. That failed at Atlanta. You can't just bring in six-figure incomes. You've got to bring in the medium incomes, the upper management, and then the corporate incomes, or you will fail, just like Atlanta did. Is that okay, I can keep going, great. The bottom line is that economic development covers a broad spectrum of things, and you cannot focus on one area. You've got to have a multifaceted approach to these things, and now that's the paddle. Okay.
All right. Back to a full plan is not just what Pasco County to do. We've got to work with the state to get them to work with us for these enterprise projects. There's a big dispute about how it's going to go about between what the House wants to do to what the governor wants to do. We need to get a plan together. I think the Texas model is one we can copy. I want you to think about something as well. I'm not just for all the high-end jobs. I said many years ago, it's not just those. We need to get all the jobs full. All our restaurants that may be empty, the gas stations full. The best way that we can go, I feel, is to work on tourist development. The purpose of tourist development is economic development.
Mr. Cooley, what do you feel is the most pressing issue in your district, and how do you plan to resolve that issue?
That is simple. Jobs. And it's not just the district, it's the entire county. Our biggest issue is jobs. And it may sound simple, but it is. That will fix everything. It will bring in the revenue stream that we need to fix our crime, to fix our school systems, to fix our roads. Bring the jobs back. 50% of our workforce drives to Tampa every day. You want to talk about congestive roadways? Try driving rush hour traffic on 54 and 41. All I keep hearing are ideas on how to get them down to Tampa faster and faster and faster. How about we try to figure out ways to bring people here, to work here, so that they buy their lunch here, buy their gas here, embrace those small businesses, so that we keep the revenue here in the county. We bring them back here, they're working here, now they're going to buy houses here, which increases our tax revenue base, which means we don't have to increase fees and millage rates and impact fees, because we'll have a larger base of revenue to draw from. Our biggest problem in District 5, as well as the county, is jobs. The second follow-up to District 5 is the crime rate. It's the highest in the county. And it's been that way for the last 3 years. But again, we have to work with our sheriff's department to give them the revenue every year. Not every 4 years, every year. We have to find ways to raise revenue, so we have to stop saying no and we can start saying yes to fixing our problems. I'm going to defer the last 30 seconds.
Well, to go to that point, the last point, as far as funding the sheriff's department, I'm very thrilled to be endorsed by the sheriff and the PBA. One thing that's important to know, if you read the articles that are back in the online Times, you can find out my opponent here actually criticized Bob White for asking more money. Didn't even think the new sheriff would actually be a good sheriff to go do. As far as creating jobs, John Hagan, the previous Economic Development Council member, he said to us when we were looking at the mobility fees that if we can get the fees down to zero for job creation, it would be the best thing we could do. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, we are the first county in Florida to actually take our mobility fees down to zero for job creators. And that goes countywide across the board. And I'm very proud to have that as we're going forward to leading the way coming forward.
Yes, I did criticize Bob White. I absolutely did, because during that time period, the morale at the sheriff's office was at an all-time low. And I have a certain passion for those folks because my brother was one of them and still is one of them. As far as that goes, that has nothing to bear on my decisions or my feelings as far as the sheriff's budget goes. When the money doesn't go to the deputies who are paid 29% less than the surrounding agencies and we lose over 130 officers to TPD because we can't keep competitive wages, that's a problem. And yes, I will have a problem with that.
Commissioner Mariano, if re-elected, what would be your top 3 goals as a county commissioner in Pasco County?
My top 3 goals would be, first, to hire a good administrator and make sure that administrators get some great background to help with our permitting process. Second would be to try to work that rail line that's going to connect us up and down to Tampa. That rail line goes all the way from Brooksville all the way down to Channelside. The other connection from it goes from USF all the way down to Clearwater, St. Pete. The purpose of all that is to make the whole region grow. When the region grows, we're in better shape. The better Tampa does, the better Pasco does. As far as job creation, I want to get that industrial park up and running. I think even if you think about real estate, when you go look at a home, you may not buy that first home you're looking at, the one you saw advertised, but if you got some jewel that could be out there, like our industrial park on 75, that may be the spur that goes forward. Working with the Zephyr Hills project, which would be a prime site selector, I want to create a magnet where people look at Pasco County like never before, and we're in that position right now. If we can do that, we create that atmosphere with the leader that we have, with Bill Cronin. I think we've got great opportunities, and that's where I plan to go.
Could you repeat the question?
If you were elected as county commissioner, what would be your top 3 goals?
When I'm elected, my top 3 goals are going to be jobs, first responders, and veterans. It's not something that I take lightly. It's not something that I would just talk about in passing. Those are all 3 areas that I'm passionate about. I am a small business owner. My wife is a small business owner. I know what a small business needs to succeed, and they need assistance. And I believe Bill Cronin's a great asset, but I'm not a proponent of just hiring somebody and then stepping off to the side. There needs to be accountability because across the board in a lot of areas outside of the EDC, I'm not referencing the EDC, there's a lot of issues where a lack of accountability has caused us to mismanage things and let things go by the wayside. We need to bring jobs to Pasco County, and when I'm elected, I will do that.
When it comes to jobs, I don't think anyone's been more focused than I for the past few years. Like I said, we have laid the groundwork to come forward. With the right hire, with the right positioning, we're in great shape. And I will say we need to highlight places like SunWest, like the Bayou, like the zip line place out in the Tree Hoppers, like the new hockey rink. All these things are great assets to the county. We just need to use them all and put us in a great light.
She said we only get one more question. So I'm going to go out of order. This is Commissioner Mariano, if you don't mind, Mr. Cooley. But Commissioner, you mentioned John Hagan a few minutes ago, and you also mentioned zeroing out the mobility fees for employment centers. You voted against that 5-cent per gallon increase in the gas tax after approving the mobility fee schedule that was insufficient to pay for ongoing road costs. So how is Pasco supposed to build and maintain its roads if we're unwilling to go up on the mobility fee and you were unwilling to raise the gas tax?
The gas tax was a tax that was out there. I didn't want to put it just on the gas tax. If we're going to raise them up, I had said for many years, we've got a road and bridge fund that for 12 years we've just had sitting there doing nothing. To me, if you share it between the gas tax and the property tax, it would have been a better way to go. If we're going to do it, then you could actually put a plan together, show what roads you're going to do as you're going forward, put it in there, and every year you could adjust that up and down. Once you put that nickel gas tax in, it stays there forever. Have we ever seen a tax go away once it's in place? My focus was to split it up. They didn't want to split it up. And if it wasn't for one commissioner who's now a lame duck, I don't think that would have went anywhere, and I think it would have been closer to a better split on the gas tax to the property tax.
Mr. Cooley, how would you pay for roads?
Well, what I just heard was that for the last 12 years, the road and bridge funds were not used properly. I'm a little confused with that because I think my opponent's been sitting in that office for 12 years. How would I pay for it? We have $105 million in penny for Pasco. Where is it going? Line item by line item. We need to understand where our money's going. And it's across the board. It's a peripheral issue, but we spent $100 million, I'm told, on stormwater repairs, and $30 million of it, we don't know where we spent it. That's a lot of money not to know where it went. So $105 million is being, from the penny for Pasco's for roads and whatnot. Where is it? I want to make sure it's being spent in the right place. And again, if I go back to my previous point, I'm going to hammer it home. We bring jobs here. We raise the revenue base here in Pasco, and we will have more resources to pull from. But we have got to prioritize our issues and get them in line and hold everyone accountable. And I don't think that's being done right now.
Pasco County took a long position a long time ago with the Road and Bridge Fund not to fund it. It's set in place. It could be used. Other communities use it. Pasco County decided not to use it. So I can understand if you're not experienced with what the budget process is, but has been sitting there for all those years.
Okay, that was our last question. So we'll go with closing statements, 2 minutes, and we'll start with Commissioner Mariano.
And again, thank you all for coming out here. Thank you, West Pasco Chamber. Thank you, volunteers, for stepping up here and asking these questions. I am the only candidate on the ballot that has not changed my party 3 times. Sheriff Narco, Senator Simpson, Representative Corcoran, Representative Burgess, the Conservative Federated Women's Republican Club has endorsed me. The West Pasco Realtors Association has endorsed me. The Tampa Bay Builders Association has endorsed me. I've been a past Board of County Commissioners chairman. I was elected by the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council to be their chairman. On the executive committee, where we sit on the Restore Act committee, where we just went from getting what could have been $5 million over the next 15 years, negotiated up to get us $12 million over the next 15 years, I was then appointed unanimously to the executive committee. Working with these groups is critical. The future of this county is critical as far as how we go about business. The SunWest Park, we talked about dredging. One of the things about SunWest Park that no one's talked about, especially with this park plan that he talks about, how we don't make any money on our parks, there's not a single park we have in this county that makes money. SunWest is not designed to make money. It's designed to be an attractor. When they build convention centers, it's designed to be an attractor to bring people in, to create tourist development, to create economic development. When you look at the $667,000 we gave to Port Richey on the dredging, to do that dredging, that was the one thing that everybody unites on. They know if we dredge that whole area, all of a sudden redevelopment is going to come. When you can go to those channels and dredge every one of those homes where they have mussels up in the street where they can't get their boats in and out because there's no way. We dredge all that through. It's going to elevate everything in this county. When you look at the sheriff's budget, you look at what happened last year. We've got a 3-year plan in place right now that's going to raise our deputies' pay up to be competitive with the whole marketplace. I am proud to say the sheriff's quote was, Commissioner Mariano was talking to his troops, charged the hill and got us our raises. So I'm proud of what I've done, and I'm very excited again about the future.
I find it ironic that my opponent has no issue with my platform, no issue with my ideas, no issue with any of the things I'm saying other than taking personal attacks at me. And that's fine. It's my constitutional right to make a decision as to who I would vote for. I have changed my party a couple of times in the past few years. It is my constitutional right to do so. I vote for the person that I believe will affect the community in a positive measure. I changed my party for 2 people here that I believed in as well. I don't know if it's an integrity thing or a character thing that I'm being attacked for, but there's a couple of questions that I would ask back. If you're a Republican, are you voting for Donald Trump? Because he's changed his political party 6 times. Does that make him a bad person? We need to pay attention to what the problems are here in Pasco and stop with these petty attacks and things that don't make a difference. Don't question my integrity because at 18 years old, I am the only one running who put a uniform on, defended my country, and put my life on the line for my country. Don't question my integrity. I am Chris Cooley, and I'm running for Pasco County Commission District 5. I'm doing that because I understand balance sheets, profit and loss, margins. I understand those things. I have run businesses. I have run multi-million-dollar divisions of other companies. I understand quotas. I understand, budgets. I understand all those things. What I don't understand is, you ask yourself this question. In the last 15 years, has there been economic development? There has not. We don't have a crystal ball for the future, but we have hindsight is 20/20, and we can see what's in the past. We need to bring jobs to this county, stop fooling around with all the nonsense, and put people back to work. And I'm not talking about restaurants and things of that nature just because of tourism. I'm talking about real jobs, manufacturing. Our revenue is only based on 3% of our revenue comes from manufacturing. That's a mistake, and I will fix that. Thank you.
Thank you both for being here tonight.